Ones that crossed with the other 1,390, heading to parts unknown, became Kings Mountain, and therefore the Battle of Kings Mountain. And these men were killed or died of their wounds on their way back and did not cross Greenlee Ford again, alive. And they are a real important reason that we actually won the Revolutionary War. They gave their lives for us. And I have not seen Larry Britt. Oh Lord, our most gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful for the opportunity to gather today to recognize the 33 men who gave their lives so that we could have a government ruled by the people. Bless us today, give us a great ceremony and program, and help us to hold them in honor that they deserve, that we recognize. At this time, amen. Remain standing. I'm going to ask our Color Guard Commander, Steve McKee, if you would present the colors.
Mark time! March! Color guard! Oh! Left, face!
Please remain standing for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave?
one more reason to stand. What a job. That was Stephen Fox and guest. Stephen works for the city of Morganton. And if you have a program, I'm Ed Phillips, I'm the Director of Tourism for Burke County. But on the program 2 or 3 days ago, it said that I was singing the national anthem. And last night there was a last minute reprieve when I ran into Stephen and said, "Can you sing the national anthem for me?" That was a great choice, great choice. Also, we're also going to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and I am going to lead that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Robert Patton will be here now for the SAR pledge.
And if you would, look in your program, and I would invite all of you to read along with me. We, descendants of the heroes of the American Revolution, who by their sacrifices established the United States of America, reaffirm our faith in the principles of liberty and our constitutional republic, and solemnly pledge ourselves to defend them against every foe. And you may be seated.
Color guard, shoulder your firelocks. Carry arms. Post national colors.
Going to give these guys
Post
just a
remaining
couple
colors.
of seconds to put their flags in their holders. So good afternoon and welcome.
Forward.
October 1st, 2023. You know, I've done this program, I think this is my 3rd or 4th time down here on the river, and they've asked me to be the MC for this. And it's really a special part of Burke County. I think if you look at the history of Burke County, there are some monumental things that occurred here over the last 200 years plus that made us who we are today. And the Revolutionary War congregation at Quaker Meadows of the Over Mountain Men was one of those many things that made Burke County and Morganton and put this area on the map. At this time, I would like to recognize some special guests. I'd like to recognize folks from the county. Brian Epley is county manager. Brian, are you here? He's back over there in the back. Chair of the county, Commissioner Scott Mulwee, Commissioner Johnny Carswell, and Commissioner Randy Burns. Also, members of the Morganton City Council. I know Ronnie Thompson's going to be speaking here in just a moment. And also, I see Chris Jernigan. And are there any other members? Oh, Chris, yep, in the back.
And Bruce.
Oh, and Butch McSwain. I got it right. Good. So at this time, I'd call the Honorable Ronnie Thompson, Mayor of Morganton, North Carolina. We do have stairs around here, so any speakers that are coming up, come up the rear stairs.
Ronnie needs to jump.
That was more of a hop than a jump. So, again, thank you for being here and welcome to Morganton and this very special occasion. I've been mayor 8 years, and every time the phone rings from certain individuals, especially one on my right, Robert Patton, those of you who know him, I don't answer it usually because it's something to do with SAR, sometimes DAR, and that's a wonderful thing because he has a great group of men and women who work to keep our heritage alive. If you haven't visited several things in Morganton, if you're out of town, please visit our historic Morganton Courthouse and the Burke County Museum. It's a great bundle of information and history about what happened in this town years and years ago. So on behalf of the city, and I see our city manager sitting in the back, we appreciate you being here, and we thank the members of Sons of the American Revolution and the Daughters for all that they do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ronnie. And also, I want to recognize Sally Sandy. I missed you, Sally, but you were back there pointing. Thank you for being here. At this time, I'd like to introduce Drew Christie. Drew is from the Western North Carolina representative for the Honorable Governor Roy Cooper.
I couldn't let you upstage me, but I'm just not taking the stairs. Good afternoon. I'm Drew Christie, Director of Governor Cooper's Western Office, and I bring greetings from Governor Roy Cooper. Governor Cooper has sent me here to read a letter on his behalf. Dear friends, as Governor of North Carolina, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the dedication of the Crossing Memorial at Greenlee Ford. Because of the bravery, resilience, and belief that this new land should be free from British rule, Revolutionary War soldiers fought and died to make possible the beginning of the United States of America. I am grateful to you for paying tribute to those men today. I am a proud member of the Sons of the American Revolution. I share your pride in the determination and sacrifices our forefathers and mothers made to realize the dream of settling in the New World and establishing the 13 original colonies. I appreciate your ongoing commitment to honoring our ancestors and for celebrating the role that they played in our history. With warm personal regards, I am very truly yours, Roy Cooper, Governor of North Carolina. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to introduce Steve Van Pelt, the state representative from the North Carolina SSAR. Steve?
Thank you, Ed. Good afternoon. My name's Steve Van Pelt. I serve as president of the North Carolina Society Sons of the American Revolution. I bring you greetings on behalf of our 1,533 members and our 28 chapters. I want to thank the members of the Alexander Erwin Chapter and their past president, Robert Patton, for their hard work in securing this site and erecting this monument that commemorates the October 1st, 1780 crossing of the Catawba River by the Overmountain Men, who 6 days after crossing fought with militia from North and South Carolina, decisively defeating Patrick Ferguson at Kings Mountain. Many of us here today had ancestors who were at Kings Mountain. I would be amiss not to mention that one of the participants in the battle that day was my fifth-time great-grandfather, Colonel Frederick Hambright, the leader of the South Fork Boys, a local militia unit. I challenge everyone here today to learn your North Carolina history and your personal family history if you have not already done so. You never know who or what you may find, as I did, about ancestors who were patriots. That's how you learn about their sacrifices that made our country great and what it means to be a good citizen. Thank you.
Before I introduce our next speaker, I just want to say a couple of things about Burke County. Do you know that the National Park Service is represented in two places in Burke County? One is the Blue Ridge Parkway, America's most visited national park. And the second is one of the most historic, which is the Overmountain National Historic Trail. So I'd like to introduce Diana Bramble, Superintendent of the Kings Mountain National Military Park and Cowpens National Battlefield, and also the Overmountain National Historic Trail. Thank you, Diana, for being here.
Thank you. So I'm joined here today also with Trail Administrator Jeffrey Ellison and Trail Ranger Will Caldwell. They're in the back there by the vehicle. It's an honor for us to be here today. Mr. Patton invited me to talk a little bit about the Overmountain Victory National Historic Trail and give greetings from the park. But I need to start with talking about the Overmountain Men. They were settlers on a wild frontier, their communities and their way of life. I can only imagine how much courage that took. Crossing that ford is just one of the treacherous parts of the landscape that they had to cross. They were something else, that's for sure. And it can certainly be said that they marched to the beat of their own drum. For the last 3 years that I've been with the parks, I think some of that spirit rubbed off on me. So I apologize, Mr. Patton, I'm gonna go rogue for just a minute. keep it quick. So what I wanted to talk about in regards to the Overmountain Victory National Historic Trail, the greetings I wanted to provide is just to talk about why we're here, why we're even here. As I said above, those Overmountain Men, they marched to the beat of their own drum. But when it came to responding to the threats made by Patrick Ferguson and his effort to forcefully entice them to join the Loyalist cause, they came together. They were organized, calculated, and their leaders worked together to decide the path forward. Everything about this trail from 243 years ago until today is the result of people working together. The journey made by the Overmountain men, chasing down Patrick Ferguson over the span of 2 weeks until they found that militia at Kings Mountain and won a battle that helped change the final outcome of the American Revolution, was people coming together. The National Historic Trail that we know today, it exists because people came together. Citizens from throughout the region commemorated the journey of the Overmountain men with an annual march to honor this important history. It's a history that is deeply personal for many people due to their ancestral ties. We have descendants of the Overmountain men standing here today. Their efforts helped lead to the congressional legislation that established the trail that the late Senator Broyhill was instrumental in pushing forward. We're here today to dedicate this marker because people came together to advocate for this and to secure the materials and get the marker put into place. So this trail is very special for many reasons. It's the first congressionally authorized National Historic Trail established in the eastern United States. That's pretty cool. The journey made by the Overmountain men, it's awe-inspiring to say the least. With their frontier skills, they were able to live off the land and traverse a rugged landscape and fight a battle that was a pretty big deal. They did that together. It's an honor and a privilege to steward resources like this trail system. The trail provides a place for outdoor recreation, for the preservation and enjoyment of the natural environment, and for experiential learning about an important history significant to the forming of our nation as we walk in the footsteps of the Overmountain men, quite literally, in a place like this. That stewardship is able to happen because of partnership and collaboration. That's really special, and it's something to be proud of. It's an exciting time for the trail, not only because we're approaching the 250th commemoration of the American Revolution, but also because of the significant partnerships for trail development that are happening right now in the state of North Carolina to create resources for all people to enjoy. So to me, this trail serves as an important reminder that everything is connected and that we can make incredible things happen when we work together. So I'm glad we're all here today. Thank you.
You know, if the United States Senate and House had not come together, we had no backup plan. So we're glad that happened last night. At this time, I'd like to introduce W.F. Brown III, past president of the Colonel Alexander Chapter of the SAR. Bill is a larger-than-life person in Burke County in many ways. A hiker and outdoorsman. I follow him extensively on social media. Have you been on a hike yet today, Bill?
Not today.
It's coming.
Day ain't over yet.
Bill Brown.
I hope that's written in a quill.
But it's printed in an 18th century font, if that counts for anything. When I was researching some of the old records while I'm trying to develop the list of names that appear on this monument down here, who crossed the river here on October the 1st, but did not cross back because they'd either been killed or mortally wounded during the Battle of Kings Mountain, I attempted to learn a little something about each of them. You know, where were they from? Were they married or single? Did they leave any children? What was their story? For most of those names that appear on this monument, there was scant information. For the most part, they've been all but forgotten to history, reduced to just a name on a list. That's sad. But that's what we're here to try to change and correct today. The historical character that I portray is my 5th great-grandfather, Dr. Joseph Dobson Sr. Dr. Dobson was the first college-educated physician in western North Carolina. He became the first clerk of Superior Court when the Morgan District was organized in 1782. And in 1785, he took over from Charles McDowell as the entry taker. During the Revolutionary War, he provided service to the patriots during the entire war. Following the Battle of Kings Mountain, he had upwards of 20 men under his care. Now, Dr. Dobson lived just a few miles up the Catawba River from here, near what's now known as Glen Alpine, in that section through there. And I feel sure that Dr. Dobson was here on October 1st, 1780, to see the Patriot militia off. I know that because his son, my fourth great-grandfather, Joseph Dobson Jr., was among those men who crossed the river that day on their way to do battle with the British and Tories. Now I imagine it was hard for Dr. Dobson to see his only son, his only surviving son, cross the river here that day. And he wondered if he would ever see him again. Dr. Dobson's firstborn son, Captain John Dobson, had been killed at the Battle of Ramseur's Mill just a few months before. His son-in-law, Thomas Scott, had been killed at the Battle of Cedar Springs just a few months before. But John Dobson left a family with a wife and small children, probably around the same age as my grandson there, Sam, who very well could have been with his grandfather here in 1780 to see his only uncle off the battle, and again, not knowing if he would ever return. Now, all 33 men named on this monument have similar stories. They were real people, not just a name on a list. It's our duty to remember them, because by keeping their memory alive, we keep a little bit of them alive as well. So much was sacrificed for our freedoms that we enjoy today. We can do no less than to honor their memory and remember them. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Pat Wells, Regent, Quaker Meadows Chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution.
Good afternoon. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Quaker Meadows Chapter, National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. It is my honor to stand here on this beautiful day, this historic occasion, among these distinguished guests, to celebrate with you the sacrifice of these heroic patriots and of those who loved them. Let us not forget what it means to be a patriot. And let us not forget the cost and value of our freedoms. Thank you.
David Doan is coming up. I lost you there for a second, David. But I wanted you to get up here and be ready. Our next speaker is Linda Lindsay, President of the Historic Burke Foundation.
Come on up, David.
Be still. Listen. The river is on its way to the ocean. Yellow, red, and brown leaves have fallen and stick to the bottoms of our shoes and our bare feet. Listen, there is birdsong in the air along with the fading scent of campfires. Listen, there is the unmistakable sound of hoofbeats coming from your right. Almost 1,400 men and horses are riding this way on the other side of the river. They have just left Charles McDowell's Quaker Meadows plantation and are on their way here to James Greenlee's plantation and to his popular ford across the river. The water is chilly. It moves fast. Water-worn rocks on the bottom of the riverbed are slippery. Every mile takes the riders farther from their homes. They have taken a stand against tyranny and for independence. They will help shape the lives of everyone here today. These men deserve our homage, our salute. None more than the 33 whose names are memorialized on this monument. We remember, we acknowledge, we are grateful. Listen. Listen.
getting started, I was talking with David Doan, our next speaker, and I said, David, where are you from? Where do you reside? And he said, I live in a small little place over in Tennessee, for which there are 2 suburbs, Bristol and Johnson City, I believe is one of them. And Kingsport. David resides in the Holston settlement in Tennessee, East Tennessee. He's the president of the Urban Mountain Victory Trail Association, and he's going to talk to you about the crossing. David Dunn.
Mr. Pat, keynote speaker, and I didn't even get a seat on the front row. That's going to cost you 2 more zeros on my paycheck. Temporarily. Diana said a while ago that this Over Mountain bunch, we marched to our own drum. Just to prove that fact, when she came down here, her hair was twice as long as it is now, and she's chewed it that short since she's been here. That's just 3 years. She's got another 15 to 25 to keep up with us. When Robert asked me to do this, he said, David, I've got to shorten your time down, and I'm using part of it now, but I've got to shorten your time down. You can't have that 45 minutes to hour and a half you normally do. So I went back and I did a lot of work, studying, rewriting. I got it down to 15 pages. Single spaced, number 3 font size. No, I'm just kidding. I could not read it. It was that small. So I'm going to read some of it so that I do stay on track. Otherwise, I will get off. October 1, 1780. About 1,400 men crossed the Catawba River right here at Greenlee Ford. Who are these men? Why are they here? And where are they going? Now, about 3 weeks ago, down the road there on September the 12th, Colonel Charles McDowell and about 200 of his men laid in ambush waiting on Ferguson at Cane Creek. A short battle ensued with Ferguson winning. McDowell took his men and they fled across to Fort Watauga, area that I come from. Shortly after arriving there, Colonel McDowell finds out that Ferguson has sent a note across the mountain to Colonel Isaac Shelby stating, if you do not cease your resistance to the crown and lay down your arms and pledge your allegiance back to the king, I will march my army across the mountain, lay waste your land and crops with fire and sword. Of course, as you know, Sevier did not particularly care for that, so he goes and talks to, excuse me, I said Sevier, didn't I do that? Colonel Shelby rides down to see Sevier. They said, we'll just take it to him because we don't want him on the other side of the mountain. We keep it over here on this side with you folks here. So they lay a plan out on September the 25th that we will take the muster in to Fort Watauga, and then we'll cross the mountain and go hunt Ferguson. September 25th, 240 men under Colonel Isaac Shelby assemble in at Fort Watauga. My name is Martin Luther Roller. I'm one of Colonel Shelby's men. Also, 240 men under Spear muster in. 400 Virginians under the Campbells muster in. And the next day, those men, including Colonel McDowell's 160, we leave and start toward the mountain to come on this side. It starts raining. We get to the place called Shoving Rock in the resting grounds. We had 500, the best powder ever made. We put it up under the rock because Shoving Rock is a rock. It hangs out, kind of like a canopy, and it was big enough to put all that powder under it to keep it dry because of the rain. Next day we get up, head over the mountain, over into this part of the Carolinas, and then we come to a point where the trail divides, and we divide our men because we don't want Ferguson to come up the other trail according to which one we go down. And then we come across and meet back just a little ways up the road here at a place called Quaker Medicine. Ms. McDowell was very kind to us when we got there. We were hungry by that time. She sent some men up into the trees where she had our cattle hid out. Brought some in, we slaughtered them, and cooked us some meat. While we were doing that, we look up and we see about 300 men, 350 men under the command of Colonel Ben Cleveland. They come marching in to join us. Now we have a pretty good group put together. The next day, that was on the 30th. The next day, October 1, we come to this river right here and we start to cross. We have about 1,400 men that cross the river on the 1st. And we start heading down to where our intelligence says Ferguson is a place called Gilberttown. On the way to Gilberttown, it started raining so hard, we ended up spending about 2 nights, partial 3 days, until we decided we couldn't wait any longer, and we pushed onward. We come to Gilberttown, our orders were to go screaming out into the big field there, screaming and yelling, like the Indian taught us older mountain men to do in the many battles that we had done with them. We go screaming out into the field, Ferguson is gone. He is gone. Our best scouts cannot find the trail because of all the rain. All the tracks are washed out. On October 4, well, that's when we got down there, excuse me. See, when you take this out of that normal scheme, you get a little off course. I'll quit worrying about dates and just tell you what happens. So later we come to Alexander's Ford, and that's at night. We're preparing for the night, about the middle of the night. We have a rider comes riding through canyon. We think he's a spy. Yank him off his horse, we're going to hang him. He says, "No, I'm Colonel William Lacey. Please take me to Severe. He knows who I am." And we did. He recognized him. And he wants to know where we're going. Well, we figured that he's gone to Fort 96, and that's where we're headed. No, our information says he's headed up the Charlottetown Road. And so we changed our plan. Lacey said, "I have a few men not far from here. I'll meet you at Cowpens tomorrow." So we moved on out the next morning, come into Cowpens, and we slaughter a little bit of meat because Cowpens is a feedlot owned by Rich Torrey, who gathers up cattle around the area, feeds them out, and sends them up north to be slaughtered. A little bit later, Lacey comes in. That night, about 9 o'clock, officers come through and select the best 900 men, best 900 horses, and we leave out of Cowpens in pouring down rain, an extremely dark night, and we push onward. Up about noon the next day, October 7th, we come up on this little farmhouse, and we have a young scout with us by the name of Enoch. Enoch Gilmore was his name. He comes up to the officers and he says, "If you'll send me down there to that house, I will find out where Ferguson is." So we did. Give Enoch enough time to go down. We go down and storming in, grab him. "I'm gonna hang you, Enoch, you spy." And the ladies in that house said, "No, you cannot do that." So we drag him out, take him down the road, take the noose off, and say, "Okay, where's it?" Over there on Kings Mountain. Now we knew where we were headed. So we push onward until we get to Kings Mountain. We're surrounding the mountain. Right at 3 o'clock, the first shot is fired. 1 hour and 5 minutes, the battle is over. Ferguson got a little too close to the boys from the Nolichucky, Watauga settlements, and one of them saw him, and he took aim, pulled the trigger, and his firelock went click. He turned to a man right beside of him, 62-year-old Robert Young. Said, "Robert, right up there's Ferguson. Can you get him?" Robert says, "Yes, let's see what some of you try to get ahead of me. So just see what, and he paused because he named his rifle after his wife, Mary, but he didn't call Mary Mary. He called her Sweet Lips, as someone already has mentioned back here. So let's see what Sweet Lips do. Puts rifle up, pulls the trigger, boom! Out of the saddle, Ferguson come. His foot got caught in the stirrup. By the time they stopped the horse, he had 8 more bullet holes in him. Folks, on that day, battle lasted 1 hour and 5 minutes. It's over. But the story don't end there. The battle is over. Our men returned home, never to come together as a group like that again. But the story of Kings Mountain continues on with several more battles to go. Ferguson has to retreat back to Virginia. 12 months, 12 days after the Battle of Kings Mountain, he surrenders his force to General George Washington. And 2 years later, the Treaty of Paris is signed. Now, the Revolutionary War is over.
Thank you, David. I always enjoy hearing that. I mean, it just takes us right back to those days of 1780. At this time, I'd like to introduce Steve McKee, who's going to be responsible for the laying of these wreaths and the presentation.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, when I call your name, just proceed down the middle here, render your honors. This is a time-honored tradition for acknowledging not only the sacrifices of the patriots that fought in the Revolution, but really the sacrifices that their families made as well, right? So in the 18th century, everything was a family affair. When the men went off to war, the wife and children would often roll cartridges for them to do so, pack their supplies. So really everyone gets a chance to render honors to those who sacrificed pretty much everything, making consequential decisions so that we could stand here today and celebrate the freedoms that we have. So when I call your name, just come forward and render honors. First, representing the North Carolina Society Sons of the American Revolution, Mr. Stephen Van Pelt, State President. Next, representing the Alamance Battleground Chapter of the North Carolina Society Sons of the American Revolution, North Carolina State Treasurer Sam Powell. Representing the New Bern Chapter, past North Carolina State President, Rear Admiral J. DeLoach, United States Navy, retired. Representing the Lieutenant Colonel John Pfeiffer Chapter, North Carolina Society Sons of the American Revolution, John Meisenheimer, Chapter President. Representing the Colonel Daniel Boone Chapter, North Carolina Society Sons of the American Revolution, Robert Crum, Chapter President. Representing the Catawba Valley Chapter, North Carolina Society Sons of the American Revolution, Mr. Ben Setzer, Chapter President. And then representing the Mecklenburg chapter as well as the Foothills region, I'm Foothills Region Vice President, State Color Guard Commander Stephen Pugh. Are there any other, Mr. Kevin Alec, and state your chapter name.
Colonel Alexander Erwin Chapter.
Thank you, Colonel Alexander Erwin Chapter. I should have called you first. Sorry about that. Color Guard Commander for the Alexander Chapter. Are there any other chapters for the Sons of the American Revolution? All right, hearing none, moving on to the Daughters of the American Revolution. I've got Miss Patricia Wells of the Quaker Meadows Chapter, North Carolina Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, Region.
First Vice Regent, Sylvia Bedford.
All right, and now I have Miss Rosie Summers, the Rendezvous Mountain Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, Region. Next, Miss Karen Seguins Barton, Greenlee Chapter, North Carolina Society, Daughters of the American Revolution, Pass Region. Mrs. Tanya Katzen, Long Island Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution. And Ms. Shirley Toller, Tony Como Chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, Associate Secretary. Are there any chapters of the Daughters of the American Revolution that I missed? Is there anyone else who wishes to render honors as a part of this ceremony? Hearing none, thank you folks very much, and we will continue on with our program.
Before we go to our closing remarks and recessional, I would like to ask anyone here that knows if they were a descendant of any of the Over Mountain men, please rise. Or if you're already rising, raise your hand. We have several. We appreciate you being here today. For closing remarks and a recessional, I introduce Kevin Hancock, President of the Colonel Alexander Erwin Chapter, Sons of the American Revolution.
I'm honored to speak to you all today with a few closing remarks addressing several of the direct descendants that actually fought at the Battle of Kings Mountain, which is very humbling. First, I would like to thank once again the vision of Dr. John Allen to recognize the fallen patriots about 5 years ago. And then the amazing follow through by many that are here today and many that could not attend that came together for a single cause to recognize these 33 fallen heroes of the approximate 1,400 who crossed here and did not return from the Battle of Kings Mountain. The monument process was complex, time-consuming given its location, size, materials, historical accuracy, vetting, and cost. They remain focused on the project so that generations to come will be able to better understand our ancestors' past sacrifices, which is so very important to our future. I believe the best statement to end on is the last few lines on the bronze plaque that so eloquently framed today's event. Future generations of Americans owe an unending debt of gratitude to these men who gave their lives to secure the blessings of liberty and the freedom we enjoy today. Thank you all for coming out today, and please, each and every one of you, stay involved and our founding principles, and more importantly, get others not here today involved in the great story of our founding fathers and the heroes of our nation. We will now conclude the program under the tent with the Sons of the American Revolution processional printed in your program booklet. After this, the OBTA, along with the certified black powder firing members, will lead a volley honoring these past heroes down by the river. Please feel free to read along with us now. And please arise. Until we meet again,
let us remember our obligations to our forefathers who gave us our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, independent Supreme Court, and a nation of free men.
Thank you all for coming.
No.
Could you go scoot to the right a little bit?
Boys, straight